ओम सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We have been trying to study Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, which is the English translation by Revered Swami Jagadananji of the original Bengali book Sri Ramakrishna Leelaprasanga by Sri Ramakrishna's own disciple, the great sage, Revered Swami Saradananda Ji Maharaj. And we have seen by the name that when the divine, that is God or Brahman, manifests this world through names and forms, he appears as this world. This is called the Leela of Parabrahman. But in such a Leela, we are all there and we are deluded by that Leela. So, to take us out of that, a special Leela is played by the divine. And the divine appears in the body like a human being, with a mind like the human being, but with the consciousness which is the divine Brahma consciousness, keeping that intact, he appears in a human body. That is called the special Leela of God in order to save mankind. And the special Leela happens in every age because the man's mind changes in every age, and so to suit that mind of man, a divine plays in every age. So, in this age of ours, he came as Sri Ramakrishna. We have seen the significance of this name yesterday also through the two stanzas composed by great Swami Vivekananda, and we have seen that Rama is ideal in character, Krishna is ideal in his teachings, and both of them we find in Sri Ramakrishna. And we have seen through the preface of great Swami Saradananda, firstly, that from the time of his sadhana, he is Guru. The other part was that Sri Ramakrishna Leelaprasanga, the full name denotes some episodes of when the Brahman played as Ramakrishna. And in that, we started studying the Guru Bhav, because Swami Saradananda started writing from that portion. And as the spiritual teacher, that is what the English translation is, not wrong, Purvardha Uttarardha. So as the spiritual teacher 1 and 2, and there he wants to present Sri Ramakrishna's personality. And this bhav is the aspect of the Leela of Parabrahman as man. So the time period is the same of his sadhana and of his Guru Bhav. And when he became well known, then he is more seen by people as God than as man. So that is a different type of Leela. Now here, and we have seen that after Swami Vivekananda popularized the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, he through that broadcast throughout the world, then people become eager to know about the life of Sri Ramakrishna. And because of that, many people wrote many things. But the books are full of errors, and those books which are not full of errors, like the great Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, they are more interested in presenting the exact chronology. So there we do not get the real import of the actions and the words, and we do not get the previous and future connections between the talks and events. And so, in order to meet this demand of the people, Swami Saradananda has taken this Herculean task. We have also seen that he has depicted not only the events, but the mental modes, mental attitudes which prompted those actions or words, and the purpose for which they were uttered or the actions were done. And in doing so, he has to refer to the scriptures in many places, because that is the transcendent field, supersensuous field, the experiences of the rishis. So through them only we can understand Sri Ramakrishna. Here one funny thing has happened, which is very useful to us. When Sri Ramakrishna's life is understood through the scriptures, simultaneously we understand the scriptures through Sri Ramakrishna's life. That is what happens. If this scriptural passage is seen in Sri Ramakrishna, that Sri Ramakrishna's life shows the meaning of that scripture. My Guruji told me repeatedly that the meaning of the scriptural words are not found in dictionaries. They are found in the experiences of the sages. And so, Sri Ramakrishna's experiences, through them we can see the meaning of the scriptures. Remember this. The meaning of the scriptural words are not found in dictionaries. They are found only in the experiences of the Mahapurushas. So, this plays both ways. And then we have seen that scriptures have some limits, beyond which there is the group of avatars. And with them Sri Ramakrishna had to be compared. Compared is not making a man smaller or greater. Compare means through light of that group we can understand Sri Ramakrishna's action. And then Sri Ramakrishna's life is unique, so certain things go beyond them. And Sri Ramakrishna himself has declared that my experiences have gone beyond Vedas and Vedanta. And we have seen that how it goes beyond the intensity, the variety, the intensity in variety, all these are, and the details he finds out are unique. And then Saradananda has also told that all the previous incarnations travelled some path and declared those paths. Sri Ramakrishna practiced all of them in a short time and discovered the new truth that all faiths are paths. In that respect, I told one thing, it is not Sarva Dharma Samabhav. It is that each religion is a path. So, we have to find the operative path and follow it. Then, he has said that people writing about him have not shown the connection between the Sanatan, universal Vedic religion and his life. And so Sri Ramakrishna appears to be some out of the way person, finding or founding his own sect of religion. And that is not true. So, in order to meet this demand, and he says that Swami Vivekananda is best analyzed. What is the connection between the eternal Hindu religion and Sri Ramakrishna? So, he is going to give that essay of Swamiji first, and the paraphrase will be the whole book. And in that essay of Swami Vivekananda, he has attached the shlokas which Swami Vivekananda has composed on Sri Ramakrishna, and we have seen that yesterday. that Rama's character and Krishna's teachings both are present in Sri Ramakrishna. Now, we read the essay of Swamiji. Now, already we have found that Rishis, every word is important. And here, because it is very terse, sutra, so every word we have to pay attention to. Now, there are some Sanskrit words which are untranslatable in other languages, and the modern system is to keep the Sanskrit word as it is. Because if you translate through some English word, it does not express the full meaning at all. For example, here, the word, now Swamiji's essay starts, the word Shastra denotes the beginningless and endless Veda. Shastra, there is an equivalent word, scripture. Word is scripture. But the force is not there in Shastra. What is Shastra? And why Swamiji starts with this word Shastra, that is more important. There is a prayojan in writer's mind. So, why Swamiji starts with Shastra, first of all? And what is a Shastra? Any of you idea? Spiritual life cannot be based on subjective ideas. Spiritual life has to be anchored in Shastra. That is why Swamiji starts by the word Shastra. You understand this point? Very important point. Where scriptural study is not optional something. Scripture, without scriptural study, we cannot proceed one step in spiritual life. The very basis of spiritual life is Shastra. So Swamiji starts with the essay starts with in Bengali, Shastra Shabde, Anadi Ananta Ved Bhuja Jaya. In English, the syntax will be slightly different, but the word Shastra. You understood this point? Swamiji talks of Shastra because our religious or spiritual life has to be based upon scripture. Now, to find which scripture we should base upon. There are hundreds of scriptures. So, Swamiji is telling the word Shastra or scripture. What is the meaning of the word Shastra? Shasan, you know what is Shasan? Don't connect Shasan with rulership. No. If I tell the word Anushasan, you understand? Shasan means guidance, teaching. Shasan means guidance, teaching, authoritative guidance. Here, in the translation itself, the teaching word will come. Authoritative guidance for spiritual life, that is Shastra. Authoritative guidance for man's life is Shastra. Now there are Shastras in, we talk of Shastra for this, Shastra for that, Vaidika Shastra, Vyakaran Shastra, but that is not what is meant here. Shastra means authoritative guidance for religious or spiritual life of man. That is Shastra. And Swamiji is telling here, the word Shastra denotes the beginningless and endless Veda. One must understand, Swamiji is not meaning the book Veda. No. Book Veda he brings in the 7th paragraph. Books cannot be endless or beginningless. How can a book be without endless end and without beginning? Knowledge. Authority. Swami will explain what is Vedas. The knowledge, the supersensuous knowledge of the rishis. That knowledge is with God always, Swami will tell us. God creates this world with the help of that knowledge. And to us it is available through the realizations of the rishis. And so, the knowledge in any field is beginningless or endless. Take any example of, say, modern science which we know, law of gravitation. It's a knowledge. Newton discovered it. So before Newton discovered it, was there no law of gravitation? Law of gravitation is a universal, eternal law. Newton discovered it. And before that it was known in India. But, you understand? The knowledge is beginningless or endless. Knowledge always exists. So Swamiji is not meaning books here. The books which we know as Vedas, Swamiji will bring that topic in the 7th or 8th paragraph. Till then Swamiji is meaning the direct revelation of the Rishis. Direct revelations of the Rishis. You understand this point? It is this Veda only. Which Veda? Eternal, beginningless and endless Veda. It is this Veda only that is capable of teaching religion. That is the meaning of Shastra. Teaching religion, we may say, giving authoritative guidance about religion. So teaching is not bad. Now in India, we know hundreds of scriptures. Where to go? So Swamiji explains their relative position. The Puranas and other books are denoted by the word Smriti. This one has to understand. Sadhananta, normally, Shruti, Smriti, Puran, like that we divide. Tantra. But Swamiji says, general name for all the scriptures other than the Vedas. Smriti, Puran, all they are Smritis. Vedas is called Shruti. Shruti is direct revelation. Now keeping that in mind, that is called Smriti. Remembering the truths declared by the Vedas, if somebody writes something, they are also authorities. So they are called Smritis. Remembering or keeping in mind the truths revealed by the Vedas, if a man gives some guidance to us, that is also valuable. But that will be called Smriti. They have authority only so far as they have followed the Vedas. And mind you, this is not only Swamiji's opinion. The Smritis themselves tell it. If you open Bhagavad Mahapuran, any Mahapuran, it starts telling that we are declaring the Vedic truths. Smriti, Manusmriti will say Vedas are supreme. So Swamiji is giving the correct guidance to us, to all humanity, through what is Hinduism. And so, the Puranas and other books are denoted by the word Smriti. They have authority only so far as they have followed the Vedas. What is the difference? If something is not in Vedas and Puranas tell, that may be true. But if they contradict the Vedas, that will not be true. You understand this point? And certain points of the Vedas, they tell in more details, then it is true. So they follow the Vedas. And this was such a well-known thing in India. Even the poets talk like this. Kalidasa, the famous poet Kalidasa, he is not a rishi, he is a poet. He has written a book about ancestors of Rama and further generations, 14 generations, Raghuvansha. In that, the king, some king is asked by his guru to serve a cow. And wherever the cow goes, he is following that. To tell that, Kalidasa says, Shrute Rivartham Smritiranva Gachat. As the Smriti follows the meaning of the Shrutis, Like that the king followed the cow. So that was the basic concept in India. Now we have forgotten. So Swamiji is reminding us. Understand this point? Now a question arises. Why? Why? Because truth is directly revealed by the Shrutis. And here, through stories or through several other things, indirect. Then our mind will tell us, science tells directly about truth, is it not? Scientists, they find out truth, discover truth and tell us. So are they equally valid like the Vedas? Anticipating this question, Swamiji is telling us now. Next para. Difference between Shruti and Smriti Purana, Tantra, etc. are that they are not direct revelations of truth, they are based upon the revelations of truth in the Vedas. So we want direct revelation of truth. The question may come in the mind, is science not direct revelation of truth? So Swamiji replies now. Truth is, like that we have to see the connection. Why suddenly it likes of truth is of two kinds? Truth is of two kinds. Two levels we may say. That which is that which is perceivable by the five senses of human beings. Here, according to Bengali, you have to add one word. Rishis are also human beings, but they perceive the subtler truth. So, that which is perceivable by the five senses of ordinary human beings. According to Bengali. जहाँ मानव साधारण पंचेंद्रिय ग्राह्य, सामासिक word, he has connected all that, of his मानव साधारण पंचेंद्रिय ग्राह्य, one word, मानव साधारण. Ordinary man, or you may say man in general, not particular, rishis. And is deducible therefrom by inference. Science. We perceive something, we generalize, we infer from that something. Understood this point? All truths are not discovered. We discover something, and on the basis of that we tell Anuman. Anuman means following that. In English, inference is all right. This is science. Some people foolishly say, science is reaching where Vedanta is reaching. Science is not reaching anywhere. Science is firmly grounded in the ground. They reach their ideas by inference, tell something. And second type of truth, that which is perceivable by the subtle powers arising from yoga. What is yoga? Yoga does not mean pranayam pratyahara. Yoga actually means method of realizing God. You follow any method of realizing God. A power comes in you. Subtle means that which is not experienced by our senses, but they are truths. And that power comes to perceive them. There is Devatas. The talk of Devatas in the Vedas is not poetical imagination. It cannot be found by senses at all. But the rishis say that Agni in my house, Agni in your house, Agni throughout the world is one, and there is a consciousness attached to that Agni. So we call it Agni Devata. This is a direct knowledge, more direct than the science which is giving us. It is the supersensuous, or we call it subtler knowledge. How it has come in him? Because he has practiced religion, because he has practiced spirituality, so his vision has been expanded. His vision takes us much beyond. There are panchatanmatras, subtler elements. For example, now science talks of nuclear physics. There is a proton and there are electrons moving. Nobody has seen that. They do not propose even to show that. That is inference. They conduct certain experiments and they generalize that, and there they say this is a proton and these are electrons. Intramolecular space, that cannot be seen by telescope or microscope, but the rishis can see. Rishis can see, actually perceive truths which are supersensuous, which cannot be perceived by the senses. So we divide this whole world into gross and subtle. Not ideas in the mind, truths, subtler, cannot be perceived by the senses at all. Science will talk about them by anuman, by inference, by generalization. Now if you do this karma, you will get this result. Can you see that by your senses? Can anybody perceive this particular yajna will give you this loka? Rishis perceive and then they talk. They do not talk blindly. That is not speculation. That is not guesswork. Understand this point? Swamiji is telling from a very, very deep point. At once, the two levels are separated. Two types of truth he tells. That which is perceived by the five senses can perceive only Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, nothing beyond that. But on that we work our reason, generalize, and then declare some other truths. Dark hole. Nobody can perceive dark hole. But they find here the matter vanishes and all that. So, that is, in the next sentence you will tell that is the field of science. And Vedas do not touch that field. Not at all. That is not their field at all. So, though the verb with from which the Vedas has come means knowledge, all knowledge is not in Vedas. Swamiji is telling that which is perceivable by the subtle powers arising from yoga. Yoga sadhana we have done, whether it is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raj Yoga, anything, that has generated power in us. The rishis realize God. Do they see God by the Charma Chakshu? Direct. That vision is more direct than Charma Chakshu vision. But not by Charma Chakshu. So, the question came whether direct truth. Smritis, Puranas indirect. Vedas direct. Science also direct. Yes, but direct by the five senses of ordinary human beings. And generalization, inference based upon that, tarka, and we have vast field called science. And yogis, sadhakas, Swamiji later on tell us, very drastic language, unless we have supersensuous experience, we have not put step on the first step of religion. Our religion is talk only, he says. So, practice of religion must lead to the direct knowledge of supersensuous truths. and that is the field of Vedas. The knowledge acquired by the first means is called science, and that acquired by the second method is the Veda. So Vedas represent subtler knowledge. So many types of subtler knowledge. 3 types just now I described to you. Knowledge of consciousness associated with matter, Devata Gyan. Knowledge of the subtler matter which makes the gross matter, Panchatanmatras and mind and all that. And rules connecting karma with the karma phalas. These are all 3 are subtler knowledges, and Vedas have that. The beginningless and endless mass of infinite knowledge called the Veda. Here let me see. Anadi Ananta, Ananta here means the endless. Okay? Alaukika Jnana Rashi. This infinite has unnecessarily come 2-3 places. Alaukika, supersensuous. Laukika, science, senses knowledge. Alaukika, beyond Loka, supersensuous knowledge. Ananta word is there, but that is translated as endless. Anadi Ananta, beginningless and endless mass of supersensuous knowledge. In this essay, we will have to make a lot of corrections in the English translation. The beginningless and endless mass of supersensuous knowledge called the Veda is eternally existent. Sada Vidyaman, eternally existent. The Creator Himself is creating, maintaining and destroying this world with itself. Vedas themselves are told that. Where is this knowledge? With God. With that knowledge only He creates the world. With that knowledge only He maintains the world. With that knowledge only He destroys the world. So the primary source of supersensuous knowledge is God. This gives us some hint how the bhaktas get this knowledge. When through love or whatever, our mind gets connected with God's mind, then that knowledge comes to us. Because with God it is always there, in the mind of God. Otherwise, we have to practice yoga and get supersensuous knowledge. So, primary source of knowledge, supersensuous Vedas, is with the Creator. The Creator, name is given Creator, but is maintaining, destroying everything He is doing. The Creator Himself is creating, maintaining and destroying the world with itself. Now, here we get it. The person in whom that power of intuition is a word used here. Word is not wrong. But in the running context, that power of supersensuous, that supersensuous power. Because previously I said, supersensuous power born of yoga. So that power. Now let us discuss this word intuition a little, because it has been used in the translation. How it is used and how it is misused. I will tell first the misuse. 4 friends or brothers were playing at cards. There is a game, I am telling some practical example, actual. And there is a game called bridge. Now the youngest of them was very intelligent. So by observing how he has bid, how he plays, they can, what is called placing of cards. He knows that this card is with him and this card is with him. Now the eldest brother, because of his accurate play, he was telling, you are seeing my cards. He said, you keep it nearer your eyes. And how can I see? But again something happened. He said, you are surely seeing my hand. Then he said, no. Then how do you know this card is with me? The younger brother replied, by intuition. The elder did not like. He said, do you know, even the spelling was your intuition? He said, yes, he told the spelling. Do you know what is the meaning of the word intuition? He said, no. Then how you have used it? By intuition. You understand? If you do not know the meaning of the word intuition, how you have used it? I used it by intuition. And there was a general laughter. Elders, uncles, fathers, they were all present. Everybody laughed like anything. Now, we think that many places doctors have intuition. My friend, a very good doctor, a devotee, he used to say heightened instinct. Heightened instinct, it is not intuition. So what is intuition? Intuition is supersensuous knowledge. So the word is correct here, but suddenly departed from the original, and because the word intuition is wrongly used also, the boy was not having intuition, he was that instinct only, that generalization of the observance and then generalization, from that he was understanding. So the word intuition is correct here. In philosophy, that word is always used for supersensuous knowledge. The person in whom that power of intuition is manifested is called a rishi. Rishi, you write down if you like, rishi darshanat. Several times I have told this. He sees that which we do not see. So he is called a rishi. Because Swamiji now has to tell us where do we get this knowledge. One thing I told, if our mind gets connected with God's mind, but that is not ordinarily happening. So where do we get this knowledge? From the rishis. And who is a rishi? Who has that direct knowledge? The person in whom that power of intuition is manifested is called a rishi. And the infinite knowledge, this word is wrong here, total. Nothing to do with infinity. Put supersensuous knowledge. And the supersensuous knowledge that is comprehends through that power is called the Vedas. Clear? Whereas Vedas available, they are not books. Vedas are available with God. For us, Vedas are available with rishis. Rishis are those who have developed this intuition power, and the knowledge, supersensuous knowledge, extraordinary knowledge, which they comprehend through that power is called Vedas. Understood? Infinite does not fit in here. Now comes Swamiji's harsh. The attainment of this rishihood, the seership of immediate knowledge, the immediate word is wrong here. Immediate knowledge is only Brahmajnan is immediate knowledge. Immediate, without immediacy. All Vedas are not Brahmajnan. Supersensuous knowledge, the word should be. What happens, if the word comes now, the translator generally they show their knowledge by using different words for the same word. That is the general policy adopted by the translators. But sometimes it leads us astray. Where is infinity here? The attainment of this rishihood, the seership. Rishihood itself is explaining the seership of the knowledge of the Vedas. Vedas are supersensuous knowledge, so that is sufficient here. You not have this word infinite at all. Is the true realization of religion, experience of religion, you may say, Satya Dharmanubhuti. You understand what he is telling? All of us to have religion must become rishis, must develop supersensuous knowledge, power of supersensuous knowledge. Next sentence is still harsher. Until the aspirant's life opens out to it, religion for him is a mere meaningless word. In Bengali, kathar katha. Words are only meaningless words. And he cannot be said to have set his foot on the threshold of religion. What is threshold? First step. Suppose there is a ladder leading to Brahmajnan or religion, the very first step he has not yet put his foot on. His religion is words. Swami Vivekananda does not respect anything other than truth. So he appears very harsh. But that is what he has to say. Now whether we do work or we do this or we do take name or this or this or this, unless there is supersensuous knowledge in us, we are not religious. That is what Swami just said. The authority of the Veda holds good irrespective of time, place and person. Supersensuous knowledge, na? So this time, place, person, how they can come in there? The knowledge is infinite, the knowledge is beyond them. Still is not talking of books, huh? That is, its authority is not confined to a particular time, country or person. Whether the Indian, no, not like that. The Vedic knowledge is universal. They do not depend upon, because they are beyond this. Particular persons, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Hindu, Muslim or any place, India, England, nothing. Time, modern, ancient, nothing there. Swamiji's most unbiased mind is teaching religion to us. The Veda alone, so concludes this topic. In the first sentence he has said, Vedas only can teach religion. So that he concludes here. The Veda alone sets forth the universal religion, universal, because it is applicable to all. Now, please mark a para here. In the original Bengali, a new para starts. Although is a new para. Now he is talking of Vedas, the books. Because in practice, this all become very good theory. But in practice, you will have to follow some books. Na? So now Swamiji talks of books. Although a little of that, again infinite has come. Although a little of that supersensuous knowledge is to be found in the Itihasas, Puranas, etc., a new name has come, Itihas. What is the meaning of the word Itihas? Itihasa. It was like that. Ha means famous. That means the king got up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, that they are not describing. But the main events which have happened in the past are called Itihas. And the very fact that Itihas and Purana are side by side mentioned, we should understand that Puranas are not history. Puranas contain lot of historical facts, lot of geographical facts, but lot of misleading facts also. What is Purana? Swami himself will tell. Very critically has analyzed every Shastra. Puranas are stories. describing in gross form or more detail the Vedic truths. That is Purana. And Itihas also are telling like that. So events which have actually happened. That is the difference. The very fact that Itihas and Puranas are side by side and separately mentioned, it follows that Puranas are not Itihasas. In India, only 2 books are accepted as Itihasas. Valmiki Ramayana, I will not say Ramayana because every poet has written Ramayana. Valmiki Ramayana and Mahabharata. Now in Mahabharata there is a difficulty, a lot of interpolations have come. Originally Vyasadeva wrote a book, it is called Jaya Grantha or Vijaya Grantha. Why he wrote that? Yato dharmas tato jaya, he wanted to prove. Where there is righteousness, there only victory will come. To prove that, he wrote the history of Kauravas and Pandavas. And he called it Jaya Grantha. Now he had a disciple, Gemini. And he told Gemini, you tell this to people and you can explain if you like. So it became Bharata Grantha. And then when Gemini told some Pandava's descendant, he asked what happened, so Gemini had to tell him. And at that point of time, there were Sutas, storytellers. So when Suta also heard at that time. Then in Naimisharanya, people used to do a lot of satras. That means 6 months, 1 year that ceremonies will go on, yajna. So in the evening time when they were free, they will ask the Suta, please tell us those stories. Now storytellers have a habit of adding things. So then it became Mahabharata. That is the history of the book. It is the 3rd or 4th edition that which we are reading as Mahabharata. So there are interpolations. But the original is history. Valmiki Ramayana, some people say the 7th canto is interpolation, but there is no science of interpolation. So Valmiki Ramayana are facts, Mahabharata are facts plus interpolation. All other Puranas are stories. Stories do contain truth, historical truth, but then they are meant to be stories. So I am telling this because the 2 words have happened together. And in both Itihasa and Puranas, the supersensuous truths are there. How much? A little of that supersensuous knowledge is to be found and in the Itihasas, Puranas, etc. etc. means Tantra Granthas or whatever you like to call it. Smritis of our country and in the religious books of foreign countries. We can use scripture there, scriptures of foreign, Bible, Quran, Jendavesta, Buddhistic literature, they also contain a little of these supersensuous truths. I was talking about the books. Because in practical life, we have to take some book as our guidance. So Vedas are the first authority, but where to get that? Yet, as the first complete and unaltered collection of the entire body of the eternal knowledge, the mass of words compiled into 4 books called the Vedas, well known to the Aryans, is worthy of occupying the highest place in all respects, of being adored by the whole world, and of being the ultimate proof, ultimate authority, proof of the truth of all scriptures, indigenous or alien, by unbiased mind. What are the 2 words used by Swamiji that we have to see? What are the 2 words? First, three words. First, complete and unaltered collection. First means they are the most ancient. The books which we know Vedas are ancient. Though Tamilians say Tirukural has come first, we do not find like that. All the Indologists or all the big scholars of the world agree that Rigveda is the first known book. So the Vedas are the first and complete. Now Vedas are lost, lot of them. Swami said if Vedas were available, it would fill the whole library. So how many varieties of spiritual experience, religious experience are described in the Vedas? In every religion or every book, take Bhagavad Puran or Shiv Puran, it will describe only Shiva, describe only Vishnu. Bible will tell only about Jesus, Quran about Muhammad. But all the aspects of spiritual life, all the levels of spiritual growth, all that is in the Vedas. So it is complete. And most important is unaltered. The Vedas, there is a rule, nobody should touch the text of the Vedas. If the time changes, you can interpret the way you like, you can explain it the way you like, but nobody should touch the original Vedas, and that has been followed. To compare, I will give an example. Swamiji has given. When the Chinese people read the Bible, many things appeared indecent to them. Every race has its own cultural values. Many things to them were obscene, dirty, indecent. So they wanted to reject Christianity. Now the Christians came to know of this. They dropped that portion from the next edition. Chinese become more doubtful by comparison. You know, in complete works of Swami Vivekananda, a lot of portion has been dropped. Anyway, in many of books, Swamiji's harsh criticism of Muhammad was dropped. And in letters of Swami Vivekananda, certain things are too personal, and Swamiji's language, you will find in letter ... Niramayanji, who was the editor of Bengali Vaniya Rachana, he told us this fact, that he went to Madhavananji, the general secretary at that time, and asked Maharaj what we should retain, what we should drop. He gave a general hint. Include that which you can, drop that which you cannot, like that only. In certain things you cannot include, drop that. Include as much as you can, in the general way he told. Anyway, all the religious books are like that. Quran, Hadith. No spiritual book or religious book has been intact. Vedas have. Swamiji, in the most unbiased mind, is telling us that. So as books, which are the authority? Vedas. Which Vedas? The four Vedas known to Aryans. Now, of being adored by the whole world, and of being the ultimate proof of truth of all scriptures indigenous of Helen. That is what the great Shankaracharya did. In our country, let alone Hinduism, there was no common religion called the Vedic religion. People in every part of the country had their own religion. Ganapatya, Shaiva, Shaktas. You know, in Tamil Nadu, the Shaiva religion was there, which is outside the Vedas. And Shankar did not go to Arunachal. Otherwise, Arunachal people do sun worship and moon worship. No, Shankar showed to each person that this is there in the Vedas. And Vedas are the highest authority. Because this is in the Vedas, so it is true. He, in a way, created the Vedic religion. Religion always there. But he showed that all these so-called other religions are nothing but their authority is the Vedas. And that's Swamiji is stating here. Swamiji went further. Christian books, Muslim books, all authority is the Vedas. Shankar did about everything in India. Swamiji did everything about the universe. So, these are the books we can follow. Because without books we cannot proceed. Okay? Now, within Vedas, what is Vedas, what is not Vedas, and what we have to follow and what we have not to follow, that we will follow. But wonderful depiction by Swamiji. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastvam Sarvadharma Swarupakaha Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.